All right, so today we're going to be making seafood cakes with some little bit of red drum, a little bit of trout, a little bit of crab meat, and some vegetables out of the garden. These things are awesome, family favorite. The kids eat them. Wife loves them, begs me to make them. So we picked some crabs that we caught in the crab pot with some spade fish carcasses from last weekend, and we're going to turn them into something delicious. All right, so step one, we got our fish here. We're going to take a little pat of this butter. Toss that in your skillet. And we're just gonna cook this fish and break it up so that it makes a good consistency for crab cakes, or seafood cakes in this case. We want it to, it's gonna resemble a crab cake when we're done. So, lay your fish in there. Take a little Old Bay. A little garlic, and a little blackened seasoning. We're just going to saute this up, and then we'll start breaking it up once it's cooked. All right, so once the fish is cooked, you just want to take the time to break this up in pieces. I'm just going to dice this up so that it mixes well with your crab meat. And then we're gonna put it in a bowl and put it in the oven, in the refrigerator, just to let it cool down so that when you mix it, it's not blazing hot and it doesn't cook your egg and all that stuff. Doesn't have to be chilled, but you don't want it really hot either. So we're just gonna take this, use that consistency in there. We've just chopped this up to a fish meal. All right, we're gonna be adding some cracker to this recipe. So easiest way to crush these up, put them in a Ziploc bag. Use the heavy end of a knife or anything else heavy that you want, and just break them up. And this is going to be your binder. If you're going to broil crab cakes, or seafood cakes in this case, you don't need a lot of binder, but if you're going to fry them, they're going to fall apart if you don't add some breading. So I like to use saltine crackers or Ritz crackers. In this case, we're using some Ritz, and we're just going to bust these up and add this to our mix. All right, next we got the veggies. These are all straight out of the garden. I just went and picked them, and I got a small green pepper here, a jalapeno, and a red onion. We're gonna chop all these up. We're gonna add those to it to just add a really good flavor to these cakes. All right, so we got our bowl of fish. We got some fresh crab meat, hand-picked here in the Hansford household. We're gonna add those two together. Grab your chopped vegetables. Add those in the mix. We're gonna give it another shake of Old Bay. Another shake of blackened seasoning. Another generous shake of garlic. We're gonna give this some Worcestershire. About 2 tablespoons. We're gonna give it honey mustard. And I just kind of eyeball all this, but you can see how much I'm putting in here. Probably about, I don't know, 5 tablespoons. And the main ingredient here, big old scoop of mayonnaise. Maybe another little kicker. We're gonna mix all this together first before we add the cracker. Just kind of see what we're working with. All right, now if you were to put this in there just like that, this whole thing would just fall apart right there in your pan. Mayonnaise is a binder as well. It helps keep them together, but it's not gonna be enough. So, always take an egg. I got some farm fresh eggs, so they're a little dirty, but my buddy raises chickens, so I was lucky to get some free eggs. We're gonna drop an egg in there. Mix that in. And the last thing you want to add is the cracker, because you only want to add enough for these things to stick together. And onto our cracker. So there's no precise measurement. I'll show you how we figure out if it's enough. I've done this a million times, so I kind of know how much I need. So we start off by topping it with cracker, mix that in. This just helps absorb a lot of that moisture that's in it. You can see it starting to firm up a little bit. Make sure you mix it all in good. And they are ready to fry, I think. So what I do to check them, always wet your hands and just grab yourself a scoop that you want to make a crab cake out of and pat it out. And we'll see how it looks. So if you look, you don't see any cracks in that crab cake when you let it rest in your hand. It doesn't fall apart, stays together pretty good. We're right where we want to be. Not a lot of cracker, whole lot of meat. All right, so we patted out our patties and we got them in the grease. You want to make them smaller than bigger, because the bigger they are, the harder they are to flip. So don't go crazy with them. Flip up the patties, throw them in here, and let them cook thoroughly before you try to flip them, or they are going to fall apart. You want to see them start goldening around the edges. So one thing I do suggest is don't drop these in a deep fryer like a vat of grease, or they will just kind of disintegrate. You want to do these in a pan. If you look, oh yeah, these things are looking great. I used the old 2 spatula method. All right, finished product. Got our seafood cakes. And you can make these with any kinds of fish you want. It does not have to be red drum. It doesn't have to be flounder. I mean, any kind of fish, you cook it like this. You can do this with freshwater fish too. You can add shrimp to it. You can add scallops and make a full-blown seafood cake, or you can do just fish and make just plain fish cakes. But awesome recipe to use up some of that seafood you catch out there.